Honesty is the best policy. You know what? That's why the Bible has taken such a firm stance on honesty. Not just because it's the best policy, but because God is truth. And so the Bible is a direct reflection of God's nature. This week in Genesis Moment, we're going to look at the first deaths in the church. This is not a story. It's going to make you think that you can just walk all over God with no consequence. This story is in the pages of the Bible, the most honest book you'll ever read, for your learning and for your understanding. You don't mess around with God. He knows your heart. But He also loves you. And He set this story out as a warning. So with that in mind, welcome to another Genesis Moment, Acts chapter 5. Now, to begin this moment, I have to kind of remind you of something very important. Number one, there's a few things that God actually hates, and the lying tongue is one of them. So Acts chapter 5, with the story of Ananias and Sapphira, begins with this word "but." So that tells us something. It tells us that we're actually stepping into the middle of two sides of a contrast. The first side was actually in chapter 4. After the apostles were persecuted for their faith, they went back to their church, they went back to their companions, and what they ended up doing was pray. Now the ground shook, and this showed God's approval of their stick-to-itiveness, their fortitude, their faith in Jesus. They asked for more power to be released, and it happened. The other thing that happened was a spirit of love poured out in amongst the church, where they began to sell everything that they had to give to one another. One such individual who had a large property in Cyprus sold it and laid it at the apostles' feet. Now this was probably going on quite a bit, but this one individual did so probably with so much love, so much sincerity, that he gained a nickname by the apostles. His name was Barnabas, the son of encouragement. Now no doubt Barnabas was one of these guys that was just honest, full of love, and somebody that was easy to be around. Not only that, his demonstration of faith encouraged the believers, but he got a name throughout the whole community that he was a good guy. He was a great guy. To get a name from the apostles themselves, a nickname, a term of endearment, such as the son of encouragement, surely would have done two things to the population. One, it would have encouraged them to be of a like heart and to give in a similar manner, although that probably was never his intention. The other thing it would have done too is, in the minds of some, they probably wanted to have that same kind of endearment with the apostles. They wanted to have a nickname too. You know, where's my nickname? How come I'm getting left out of all this? How do I get a hold of a nickname and become famous in amongst the Christian people? You know, some people just think that way. You know what? That's wrong. That's evil right there. That shows an attitude of selfishness, and that shows an attitude of pride. You want to be better than everyone else. When in reality, it was exactly the opposite thing that got God pleased with this man Barnabas and brought him before the apostles. After all, the apostles were full of the Spirit, and they could tell when someone is lying. So, what ends up happening? A man named Ananias and Sapphira, his wife, sold a piece of property. Now, they might have told the group of people that they were going to give everything to the church. They're going to lay everything at the apostles' feet. So when it came time to lay it at the apostles' feet, they had already discussed amongst each other that we're going to actually keep back some of this money. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would they do that? Well, I don't know exactly why they would do that. Only this, that sometimes you want to have your cake and eat it too, right? Sometimes you want the favor of the people that you're trying to please, and at the same time, you don't want it to cost you anything. Well, you can't really have your cake and eat it too. But they tried, so what did they do? They came to the apostles. He tried to lay the money down at the apostles' feet. And instead of saying, "Well done, Ananias, great, glad to see you here. Good, look at this money. Bless you, brother. I'm going to nickname you the second son of encouragement." No, he didn't do anything like that. In fact, what he did do is he called them out on the sin right there and right then. He says, "Why have you lied to the Holy Spirit?" When this land, when this money was yours and in your possession, couldn't you have done anything you wanted with it? And he could have. He could have kept the money. He didn't even have to give anything to God. He didn't have to lay a cent at the apostles' feet. He says, but instead, not only have you kept back the money, you've said that you've laid it all here. You have not lied to man, but you have lied to God. And before Peter could stop speaking, Ananias died, fell over dead, and was buried within the hour. So now, knowing that while there had been a lie against God happening, Peter asked his wife, Peter asked Sapphira, what did you do with the money? Is this all the money that you got from selling of the land? And she said, yes, it is. It's exactly what we got from the land. And you know what? He called her out on her sin. And yeah, same thing happened. She died too. You know what? The question still remains though. Ananias and Sapphira go to heaven or no? That's a good question. I don't know. It doesn't really say. You know, sometimes if you're going to be a bad example, even if you are a Christian, God can take you out. And you could probably still go to heaven. The other thing is though, because there's a little bit of uncertainty, I want this to be clear to you. You're going to die one day. Absolutely, you're going to die one day. And one day you're going to go meet Jesus face to face, and he's going to be your judge. And the only way you're going to be found innocent before his eyes is if you have already received forgiveness from his hand. He loves you. He's taken the penalty that you deserve, and he bore it upon himself. Why? Because he loves you. Again, I can't say that enough. So today, would you believe in Jesus? Would you begin to follow him? God desires truth in the inward parts. Let his spirit come into your heart and clean you from all unrighteousness. This has been another Genesis Moment. Thanks guys for tuning in. We're in the middle of chapter 5. We're going to look at more persecution next week. Yeah, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get real. But in the meantime, grace and peace. And remember, a new beginning begins here.